Hey YouTube. Oh my goodness, if I had a fight with cab cam here. Had an extra camera in the shop, so I've got them all mounted in my air cart here. And the front bin I'm using for seed, so canola or barley or whatever I'm growing, and then starter fertilizer in the middle that goes with the seed, and then out the side bottom boot or whatever of the shank, because it's a double shoot, is then my main fertilizer in the back tank. And usually the way that I seed, I have lots of room for my fertilizer in my second and third tank, but I'll always end up having to fill my front tank first, or if I'm watching canola, I'll only throw like 6 or 8 bags in there because it's so expensive, and then I'll keep checking my rates, make sure that's just the way I do it. I know bigger farmers will dump a whole mini bulk bag in there, but I'm not there yet. So this is my fancy canola bag lift that I invented. So get to try that out this year. But anyhow, these cameras, when I'm seeding canola, it is very important to watch that seed inside the tank. And I could not get them to work for nothing. And it seems like on YouTube, it's hard to find something where troubleshooting. They talk about power, a few things that might interfere with the signal. But this was a fight. So I think I've probably got 4 or 5 hours into it. And again, the number one thing when you buy these cameras is the frequencies are preset in the camera. So this particular camera is a number 3. So they have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can't run 2 3s beside each other or 2 1s beside each other. So I just happen to have 2 number 3s. And I kind of really didn't know that to start with. But in tank 1, I had camera number 3, and this is the particular camera, and it would glitch out. You would maybe see it for a split second, and then it would go fuzzy, or the screen would go, just a non-stop fight. So I had spare monitors. I switched the monitor in the tractor cab, and then I run an external antenna, which I had out on the roof, and then I run it to the rear hitch, and then I stuck a new antenna here. They were all mounted externally. I had a battery charger on the battery here, just to make sure that I had 13 volts here. I had an external battery source in the tractor to make sure it wasn't the tractor batteries. Fought and fought and fought. And finally, I went to the shop and I had that another number 3 camera. So here's my soldering thing. Here's my 12 volt power supply box that I had brought up and hooked up. So I'll show you what I did. So them are my external, just so that they're clear line of sight to the tractor. And I just couldn't see that being a distance thing, but I mean, I was trying everything. And then I did end up, because I just had my connections moretted, I did end up soldering the connections, because the wires to these cameras, they're pretty tiny. So, and then, so here's the camera, and you can see I engraved number 3 on it. So this particular, and then I epoxied where they go through the tank so there's no air leaks. And this number 3 camera was in the shop. As soon as I linked it up, like on the bench, it linked to the to the monitor. I knew it was a number 3 camera. I dumped it in the tank and it started to work. But the camera that I took out of here that happened to be a number 3 camera, it links up to a monitor just fine. But the minute you throw more than 1 monitor or 1 camera with it, whether it's a 2 or a 4 or whatever, it'll glitch out. So there is something, that camera will run by itself, hooked to a monitor, if it's standalone, completely by itself. The minute you hook up more cameras with it, it's like somehow that camera is interfering with the other cameras, and then it throws itself for a glitch. As soon as I changed that camera out, wired it in, my problems went away. So that camera back there is number 4, and then this camera in tank 2 is number 1. And I'm not going to switch them all because they're epoxied in. And I did just happen to learn that last year as I was throwing these cameras in there. Otherwise, I would have matched them all up on the bench and had them in the right order. So I'll just have a sticky note in the tractor. So yeah, if you are fighting with them, the camera that you're fighting with, disconnect it from the system, or disconnect each camera at a time. Make sure it's fine, then add a camera to the loop. If it's fine, add another camera, and then if it starts glitching out, take that camera out, and then if it goes away, well, then you can isolate which camera is potentially causing you the issues. The last thing that I'm going to do is I had taken the external antenna and I just run the wire as far as it would reach onto the rear hitch of the tractor, and I had it mounted back up by them lights. So I am going to just move it back up there, make sure that that's not a problem. I don't believe it should. The air tank has like a radar in it, and I even disconnected that radar at one point to see if something was interfering. I had to go right down to bare bones scratch and kind of essentially rebuild the whole little camera system to find the stupid camera that was causing every other camera to glitch out, because I thought it was the monitor. So again, I had another monitor down there, another monitor there, the one on the Rhino, and then I had another monitor that was in here. And so now, I'm not sure if I still have this. Oh, I hit the disconnect on the tractor. But the other thing is I had a cigarette lighter here, and then I did have these hardwired into my tractor port, but I absolutely tried everything. The cigarette lighter works fine, and then I'll hardwire it back into here so that I can keep my cigarette lighter spare for charging stuff. But yeah, she's all working again, and that's my tech tip. If you have trouble with your cab cam cameras, take the whole system apart till you have one camera hooked to your monitor. If it works, then hook up number 2 and number 3, and if it starts to glitch out, take the camera out, and if it fixes the problem, throw the camera away. Or that camera that is causing me grief, that's standalone, I might put it on the grain cart for in the fall, because I only need one camera on that thing, so maybe that'll work. Okay, hopefully that helps. Take care.